Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Philip Duncan. We've got a windy burst of weather moving down the country, and with it comes some rain, and that's the good news. Rain is going to fall in places that need it the most in the upper North Island, including the catchment areas around Auckland. So let's take a look and see what's happening. So we've got a low to the north and a high to the south, which if you weren't looking at the way they were spinning, they look almost identical. But the low here, quite large, the energy spread out, and the central energy, or central air pressure, not very deep at all. But it's enough to bring down the subtropical flow. You would have noticed how much warmer it's been in the north for the last day or so. The winds pick up even further across the next 24 hours with some gusts over 100 k's an hour, which we'll focus on in a second. But then that rain coming down, and with the high close to the South Island, you've still got some frosty weather, but that looks like it's coming to a bit of an end in some areas as well. So let's move on and see the rainfall for the next 4 days ahead. And look at these accumulation totals. We'll start with the white and blue colouring, which is up to 200 millimetres for these very eastern areas around East Cape and Gisborne. Parts of Bay of Plenty might be getting 120 or 150 millimetres. I mean, that would be fantastic if that's what you can get, and it's spread out over a couple of days so it doesn't cause, too many issues. And around the Auckland region, it's a little bit fine line as to where the heaviest rain is and when it starts to sort of fade away. But we expect somewhere around that sort of 45, 50 millimetre mark. Generally speaking, some will get, 70 and some might get 30. But you get the idea. That's what's coming in to the Auckland area. That's over the next 4 days. And down to the south, not much at all, just a couple of showers in there. The wind map. Okay, so two sets of winds to look at. First of all, the wind barbs. That's basically showing you the average wind speed. And then the colouring across land shows you the gusts. So what we look for are the gusts, areas like this in the purple, 110, 120 k's an hour around the Nelson Ranges as that easterly pushes in. Some gusty areas in the more exposed hills, and up around eastern Waikato, you could be getting gusts of around 90 k's an hour. Places like Mount Te Aroha, it might even go a little bit higher. This is on Thursday morning. So this is not Wednesday afternoon today. So today, these winds are further to the north, but we've shown you the Thursday morning one because that's when they sort of peak further down most of the country. So let's start there with Thursday, and you can see the high and the low that are in charge. The low to the north, fairly weak, 1001 hectopascals, and the high 1030 just off from Dunedin. The two systems are going to create a windier northerly across the South Island, so it shouldn't be quite as cold when you wake up on Thursday morning. The rain slides down into the North Island, those bigger rainfall totals, thanks to the subtropical line that is feeding into that area. By the time we get into Friday, more of that subtropical rain feeding in to this part here. That's the area that we saw potentially up to 200 millimetres of rain. That is a lot. And into the north with the low weakening, but it's still pulling down warmer than average, subtropical northeasterly winds or northerly winds. So more showers about the place, and again a bit milder for much of the South Island as we head in towards Friday. Now the weekend, no great change on Saturday. The lows basically fallen apart, but the subtropical line of rain, it is continuing on around parts of Bay of Plenty and East Cape. It might be in the form of showers for some of you, and the South Island's got some clearer spells. Make the most of it, because when we go to Sunday, here's another low, a little deeper as well. And this one's in a different position. It's coming out of the Southern Ocean area. And the next high, way out over here towards Melbourne. So when we get into next week, we see a cold southerly coming in. And I often talk about this. How New Zealand gets a good southerly, a big cold one. You park a high over Tasmania, stretch it out, tall, north to south. Just like that one's doing. It's going all the way up to Townsville and all the way down to Macquarie Island. So that's a huge north to south high pressure system, and when it's like that, it scoops up this colder air and brings it up. And then you have to put a low off the coast of Otago, which we've got, and between the two, that's where that cold southerly comes in, and you see that on Monday. More rain and showers though coming in for Northland. That's great, especially the western side where it needs the rain. And our final map for Tuesday shows wintry weather in the South Island. There could be lower level snow flurries, maybe down to a few hundred metres, and some of the highway passes could be affected by this one. It'll be cold right up to Queensland as well. Not that we're all flying anywhere there, but just in case you've got family over there, they've got some cold weather as well. And behind all that next week, as we go into July, probably a big frosty high. That is all from me. We'll update you again tomorrow with the latest.